All right, yeah. You guys want to know about me. So, Patrick Moraka, I'm the director of a company called Exec. I'm the founder of that company. But it wasn't my first business, obviously. So, I came a long way. In fact, I'm one of those people immediately after matric, I went into business. But school, because I had this passion for business from Kisale Omonyan. I don't know where that passion came from. The one business that I ran previously was a cleaning business when this very same place was still a plaza in 2006. My company was the first company to clean this place. I was employing about 18 people at the time. We cleaned it from 2006 up until 2014, if I'm not wrong. And I had other cleaning contracts with other shopping centers all over South Africa, not just in Soshanguve or in Gauteng. The shopping center called Block XX, I think they call it a Thorn Tree. I was also cleaning that for almost the same amount of period. And then I also did Kwacha Plaza, I did Jane First Plaza, I did working at Clean in Atteridgeville. I did Tembisa Plaza in Tembisa, Tsakane in Tsakane. So I did a lot of shopping centers where I was cleaning. And how I got into business here, Exec, was basically from the experience I had when I was running that cleaning business. There was a time I was employing about 300 people with a lot of contracts all over the place. Come the year nearly 2014, I started losing contracts very mysteriously. It started go Everton next to Spokane in the south, where guys would just come and say, look, dude, we know you're not from here. And then they'll tell the developer or the owner of the mall, we don't want this cleaning company here. We don't want this security company here because these guys are not local. And then they would kick you out. So I became a victim of that. And it happened so rapidly that I moved from a company that was turning over about 1.2 or so a month at some point in those days to something like 200,000 rand. You accrue the costs, you can't afford to pay your bills and things like that. The business just shrunk at a very rapid rate. Then just before I could lose one out of the remaining four, which was the Thorn Tree project, I was called in and it was the same issues. The councillor was there, the community were there. We don't want this company here, we want them out. And it came to me, or no, man, enough is enough. I don't understand this thing. One, I'm South African, for that matter. I'm not foreign in this country. What is this nonsense that I cannot trade where I see fit? The Bill of Rights said you can trade where you see fit. There are people who have crossed a lot of borders. They're trading everywhere, but in Nakele South African, I'm being chased out on account or, I'm not local. So I put my foot down on that day. I said, I'm not going anywhere. And for some reason, I won the battle. The guy said, we're not offer warning. But sadly, the security company was kicked out. The center manager was kicked out simply because he's not local. To me, that was madness. I couldn't understand that concept. And that's how Exec was born. It was born to bring inclusive, that's what even our slogan says, to bring inclusive economic beneficiation. We cannot be in a state where a struggler to be inclusive and yet or people from other countries are taking our jobs. And that's where I was, given this, I got this idea. I want to bring a business that is going to assist in managing the beneficiation of communities, a business that's going to manage the expectations and so on. Initially, it started a company named Pime Consulting. Mall of Tembisa was coming, Tembisa, and I approached the guys because I'd worked with them for a long time. And I said to them, I want to do this for you. A service where all employment will go through me. A service where all stakeholders to get into the mall, they'll go through me. It was new to them, but eventually they allowed me to do that. And that's where our stakeholder engagement and social facilitation services started. It was back in about 6 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we heard that Soshanguve Mall is opening tomorrow. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah.
What's
so
your excitement?
The biggest excitement is, for me, is the completion thereof. There is a story at the back of every development that has happened in township. Like I'm saying, talking about issues of, people being kicked out because they're not local. if you take note of many projects, development projects around, they've been stopped. They've had community issues that have even brought them to their knees and so on. The biggest take home for me is that we built this mall, we never stopped, we made sure that the community benefits, and tomorrow here we are. Thousands and thousands of people are going to benefit from this project. So all the work that we've done shows that we've done the right thing. We've been doing the right things from where we started. So I think for me, that's the biggest take home. Obviously, there's an excitement around. I mean, there's a 65,000 squares shopping center, world class, that has been built in Soshanguve. You know, nothing like this. We don't have a shopping center that looks like this. I've worked in townships. I've never seen a development like this. That's very exciting.
Okay, so in terms of the employment process, the portal, kindly explain more about it, because we see that the community is trying to complain about it.
Yeah.
Kindly tell us more on how does it work and how does it benefit the current people who are working in the sector.
The issue of the portal, I think, let's take it back to where it started. So when we were introducing the project to the community, long before we broke grounds, we did our stakeholder engagement. We've met with councillors, community, we've met with business community and so on, to say to them, this is what is coming to the community. We introduced this online system then because we had it, we had used it in other projects as well. The reason behind the system is to say the hard copy model of getting a CV from a person is ancient. It doesn't work anywhere. A simple example that you can apply your mind to. If somebody gives me 10,000 CVs now, and within an hour the next person says, I'm looking for CVs of people with this caliber, how do you go search 10,000 CVs fairly and give everybody a chance? Because you would have to look at every single 10,000, every single CV out of the 10,000. But if you've got an online system, you give a criteria, you search, and you get exactly the kind of people that you're looking for. You can even expand it if you say, okay, maybe we don't want to be strict on qualifications, we don't want to be strict on this issue or that issue. You can expand it as much as you want. So we came up with that system, we introduced it here, and it has worked well during construction. Local people have worked in this project. I think the number in total of local jobs that were created is 2,373. And non-local jobs, because like we said, you cannot have a project of this nature and this size and you expect to do it from start to finish with only local people. There's so many skills that goes into this project that you can't find in the local community. So we also had about 2,058, which is about 46% of non-locals. So we recorded every single person that was employed from construction phase to where we are today. This is an interim report. We're still going to do a final report where we include the employment of the tenants, just to show how much job creation has gone into this project. So where the problem is people, and I think, it's not to push the blame back to the community. Coming down to the time where we are now doing handover to tenants, we started having advocates in the community, people who don't have facts. A person just wakes up in the morning, takes a phone, makes a video, says, Soshanguve Mall is not employing locals. Where are your facts? How do you prove that it doesn't employ locals? No, I don't see anybody that I know. How? Do you know everybody? Yet if you were to come to us and we present you with the processes that we've followed, the data that we've got, you'll realize a lot of local people have benefited from this project. I think it's that disinformation we need to dispel in order for this project to have the impact it deserves to have into the community and for people to retain trust.
Okay. Yeah. Kindly assist us in terms of the youth and disability, in terms of percentage on the numbers that we're speaking of. How are we?
I cannot tell you much about the youth and disability within employment. Okay. The number that I can give you, which I'm very confident of, is that we had 87 young people, very young people, who are in university that we took in as interns. They came from the TUT campus. Most of those have gone into artisanry works, like they did carpentry, they did electrical, plumbing, even bricklaying. and it was a mix of girls and boys. These are young people that have worked in this project. But even over and above that, we had a lot of she-rebs that were young people, and they came from the local community. In terms of disability, unfortunately in the private sector, especially when you look at construction, we don't necessarily push the campaign of giving disability opportunities. But when we have a disabled person who's within the community and needs to work, we give opportunities to such people. To us, it's not a quota where you just go out there to increase the number and say we gave jobs to disabled people. But we welcomed every disabled person that has ever come to our reach.
Okay. So in terms of the portals, what are the steps that are taken to make sure that the community find the proper a fair process in the time?
That's a good question. We have introduced a container. This issue of a container came from the engagements that we've had with various groups that came to us raising concerns. We got to a point where, together with the Speaker's office, we meet in one room and we talk to all these concerned groups. And we understood where they were coming from, but they too got to understand what we have done, and that this thing is not as the perception is within the community. Then there was a conclusion to say, let's bring a container, let's get local young people again. Let's give them computers, let them sit there and register people, because we still have a lot of employment to happen in the mall. I can tell you now, the mall is not 100% ready. Not that it's not ready to open. When I say 100%, you still have tenants that are still coming. So you still have a lot of employment that is still coming. Just under 100 shops will actually be open tomorrow.
Okay. Out
of about 160. So you still have a lot of shops that are still coming, that are still going to employ a lot of people. And even the shops that have employed, is the nature of the business. Round one, they take a lot of people. They still need to go for round two and balance the numbers that they've got, increase the skills and things like that. So that container that we've got, it's not just a container. It's us to increase the numbers. But not just that, we've released files that explains to people how you can register online. Our contact details are always open. We are taking calls, I don't know how many, on a daily basis. And people are saying, now I understand. No, this thing is easy. And one other element to add is, you've got your profile there, you've got your CV on our system. It doesn't go away. It stays there, it continues to give you opportunities. So if I do it now and it happens that I didn't get an opportunity, it doesn't mean it's over for me. Whenever other opportunities comes through, that very same profile of mine will be distributed, and I get more and more chances to get opportunities.
Thank you, Mr. Moraka. Let's meet tomorrow at 9 p.m.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure.